I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 1, Payback. It is directed by Phil Segrecia, written by Craig Rosenberg, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following the boys a year later. It's been a year since the end of Season 2, and we have Huey. He's nice and happy working for that chick running for Congress, and also we have Annie is back in the boys, and apparently she's co-captain now, and Homelander's not having a fun time about it. And so I think this adds a lot of tension. It's very clear that Homelander hates Annie, but because of the whole Stormfront debacle, he has to be on her side. He has to be like, yeah, I'm human. Yeah, I hate being reminded of how many mistakes I've made. I just want everybody to do what I want to do all the time, is basically what Homelander's thinking the entire time. And there seems to be a huge tension between Annie and Homelander. I really like seeing them on the red carpet, and Huey's there being a nice little prize boyfriend to Annie, and Huey backs up into Homelander, and the look that Homelander gives him is just so terrifying. I'm like, oh geez, Huey, please stay safe. There's also Temp V is being made. We have temporary V that lasts for 24 hours. There's an attempt to sell it, right? Hey, we got this amazing temp V, we could use it for soldiers. And I like Stan Edgar's way of thinking. He's like, oh, it's because, I don't want to raise a bunch of pampered celebrities like Homelander. He is sick of Homelander. And so he's like, what if we just had temporary V, we gave it to soldiers who are actually trained? I think that would work better. But it's like $2 million a dose or something. It's really expensive. But also I like how Maeve is stealing some Temp V and gives it to Butcher. I'm like, whoa, okay, I didn't know that they were working together, but I guess they are. It's really fun. There's just so many things that I didn't expect to happen just by watching Season 2 that happens at the start of Season 3. And I'm like, oh, well, this has changed. I'm excited for the rest of Season 3. Billy Butcher is also looking for a weapon to murder Homelander. And he's looking for Soldier Boy. And he's like, where could he be? I've heard of this guy. He's a very mysterious fellow. Where could he be? And I like this because it seems that Billy Butcher is really bent on murdering Homelander, which is probably the best course of action for the future, because Homelander is getting more and more unstable every single day. Also, there's this guy that comes to the office where Huey works, and the senator is being called Nadia by this guy, and Huey's like, this is so weird, this is so strange. And what's more fun and strange is that they go back to an alleyway, Nadia and this guy, and Huey's following, and they have like some sort of argument, and then they have like a physical altercation. She's like, never ever come by and call me Nadia, okay? No. And I'm like, wait, why? This is so weird. She has like some sort of past that she wants to run away from or something. And then before I can process why she doesn't like this guy, she's popping his head, and Huey's there. And I like the face of Huey, right? As he's like, oh my goodness, my entire past year is a lie. Like, I see it right on his face, and I'm looking at him like, oh man, dude, your entire world is just shattered. So I like this episode a lot because it's a great way to introduce all the tension and drama that's going to be present in Season 3, and I really like that, and I'm just really excited for what's to come. I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.4 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3 Episode 2, The Only Man in the Sky. It is directed by Phil Segrecia, written by David Reed, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts, we're following Huey. He's like, oh, well, this chick that I'm working for is not who she seems. I should get some information on her. Oh, interesting. I just learned that she's from this orphanage, and I'm gonna come in and be like, oh, hey, by the way, I wanna adopt a kid. Please? So he goes to this orphanage, and by the way, it's interesting to see just a bunch of kids who have no parents just be there. Like, there's that kid who just like teleports, and it's like creepy the way he looks at Huey. I'm like, oh boy, who would want these kids? I feel really bad, but I like how Huey's like, yeah, Starlight and I, we want to adopt a kid, keep it under wraps, shh, right? And this chick's like, oh my goodness, you are interested in these kids? Let me indulge you. Here we go. Here you go. Scroll. Big old scroll. And while she's doing that, Huey's like stealing data from the laptop, and then once he's out of there and he pulls it up, it's like, oh wow, these are really gruesome photos. It makes me think, why would these guys have pictures of the bloodied parents of hers? Oh my, who needs these photos? Why do you have them on the computer? I'm just thinking, dude. Okay, so it's presumed that if these photos are on the computer, then all just a bunch of gory photos of people's parents being murdered by their like sons or daughters' superpowers. There's just a bunch of gory photos. I'm like, it's just at least mosaic them or like get them off of your computer. Who needs that? Also, he finds out that this chick is adopted by Stan Edgar. He's like, plot thickens. She's not against Vought at all, actually. She's working for Vought. And I'm just really liking Huey's disillusionment. So much so that he's so on Butcher's side. He's like, oh my goodness, Butcher, you're completely right. I'm 100% on your side. And I like how Butcher, before he got called by Huey, he's like, you know, I think that I don't necessarily have the best foresight or, you know, plan. I get it, you're right, Huey. And Huey's like, no, you're right, dude. This is crazy. We gotta bring back the boys. And so it takes a little bit of a struggle to bring back the boys, but there's just so much just so much juicy stuff. They're trying to find Soldier Boy. So we got Frenchie and Komiko. They go to this Vought land park where Countess Crimson Countess is there. And she looks very washed up. She looks like she's in her like mid-40s, honestly, and she's used to date Soldier Boy, and they're just having a little bit of a chill time with her, just a little chill time in the behind the scenes, like, oh yeah, we're her biggest fans, and then they like grab her, and once they're distracted, right, they get distracted by a couple of people come in, then she just runs off, and then she go run, and she ends up murdering a mascot, which is crazy. I'm like, whoa, Voughtland is completely ruined. You're a terrible person, Crimson Countess. Why'd you just blow up a mascot? And she did do that. Oh man, I like seeing Kamiko's struggle. In this season, it seems like her main struggle is dealing with the fact that her compound V and also just her choices, you know, she wants to be a normal person, but she can never be a normal person. She never really had a childhood. And so I feel for her. It's a lot to see. Butcher was like, oh, I'm never going to be a soup. I'm never going to stoop so low to get some compound V injected into me. lo and behold, we have friggin' Billy Butcher's over here like, oh yeah, let me just take some Compound V and I'm gonna butcher Gunpowder, which is one of Soulja Boy's buddies. Whew, boy. Also, I like how much it seems that Billy Butcher doesn't know anything that's happening, actually. Like, he thinks he knows everything, but when he goes to ask Gunpowder some questions, before he literally obliterates him in half with his newfound laser powers, Gunpowder is telling him about how Mallory, the person who was helping them, was in Vietnam with them and working with Vought. And then it's like, oh, so who is she? What? She doesn't seem like a person to be trusted? I don't know. She's going to have to answer for herself. And I'm just thinking, oh, wow. This goes a lot deeper than I thought it did. So the boys are back in town, and they're being brought together. And I like Mother's Milk. He's like, oh man, I really want to be with my daughter, but I have to avenge my family, and I have to find Soulja Boy and kill him. We got Homelander and Starlight, and they're on the stage together. And Starlight's like, oh my goodness, Homelander, I know that you dated Stormfront, and everyone's human. That's why he's decided to donated $1 million to my Starlight Houses campaign, all this nice little nonprofit organization. And, you know, if Homelander is good at PR, he'd be like, yes, of course. But Homelander's like, no, I am better than all of you. I did not make mistakes on national television. He's like, I did not make mistakes. The rich is controlling me, and if they can control me, then they can control you too. And this is the very last scene of the episode, and I was watching this, I'm like, Homelander, why are you saying this? If you want, I don't know, if you want some sort of power over and like people to love you, if you want more people to love you, you shouldn't be saying these things. You shouldn't be saying, oh, I'm better than you. Because if I saw this on TV, I would be like, oh, I hate Homelander, man. Screw him. No. Get away, Homelander. just, oh man. I'm just excited to see how that helps or hurts Homelander. Jeez, he's getting more and more unhinged, and I'm really excited to see the full insanity of Homelander. This episode uncovers a lot, and it makes me excited for the upcoming episodes. So I gotta give this a solid like 7.5 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 3, Barbary Coast. It is directed by Julian Holmes, written by Geoff Ali and Anselm Richardson. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following the aftermath of Homelander's speech about how he's better than everyone and he can just do whatever he wants. And it seems like middle America is loving it. Unsurprised, and I'm not really surprised by that fact. Also, the coasts, less of the youth specifically on the coasts like him. And I don't like Homelander. Oh boy, he sounds like a maniac in that speech. But I totally get why people would like Homelander. I feel like Homelander appeals to the want for power and ultimate freedom, and he's just like, I can do whatever I want, and he's speaking for people who can't necessarily do whatever they want. So there is two reactions to that. So I think people who are feeling the most oppressed in their life, they're going to be more so on Homelander's side. This, of course, inflates Homelander's ego, and he's like, well, people are going to have to listen to me. Executives, how about you kiss my butt, okay? You don't care about your opinion anymore. And it seems like everyone is just getting more and more scared of him. Oh, man, not to mention that immediately after he realizes that he can just do whatever he wants and he has complete control over the company of Vought. He goes to Starlight, right? And he's like, "Hey, you know what I'm gonna do? We're gonna have a nice time. How about you, instead of your little ex-boyfriend or whatever, that speed guy, you don't need him. How about we bring back the Deep, you know? He's a changed man. He's very changed in ways that he is in changing ways." She's like, no. She's like, no, I could just choose, like, the last 2 slots in the 7. And he's like, well, if you do that, well, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to force my hand. And she's like, well, if you force your hand, I'm going to force my hand. I'm going to show everyone how terrible of a person you are. And he's like, well, if you show everyone how terrible of a person I am, I'm just going to have to go full evil and millions of people are going to die. And all those deaths are going to be on your hand, Starlight. Do you want that? And she's like, no. Ugh. It's really tense. The tension between Homelander and Starlight... Starlander. What a weird name. Homelight. #Homelight. What a interesting hashtags. I like the social media aspect of the show a lot. But there's a lot of tension between Homelander and Starlight in this scene. Specifically, well, throughout the entire series. Definitely throughout this season there's the most tension. But this, it was very tense. I saw the true Homelander, just threatening. He just was so small. Like he feels like a beetle in my hand, and I could squish him. That's what Homelander's personality is like, and he's using all this force to compensate for how tiny his personality is and how small his character is. I like Starlight. She's such a good person. Because she goes to her ex who wants to be in the 7. It's like one of the candidates for one of the people in the 7. And what's fun is he still wants to be in the 7. She's like, no, you have to. I can't talk about it, but you have to just like not. Please. Just stay out of the 7. And this guy, this too good of a man, is like, you know, I'm going to join just for your support. Just to support you. And I'm like, why would you do that? That just will end your life. I don't know if he understands the depth of the situation. I don't think he fully understands. He only knows based on Starlight's word, and Starlight's word could be insane or over-exaggerated, but no, I believe Starlight 110%. If Starlight was telling me, hey, don't join the 7, I'd be like, no, alright, I'm gonna stay away from the 7. Something bad's happening in there. And I hope Alex gets let off easy in the future whenever he eventually dies, because it's the 7. Dude, there's a bunch of tension and death surrounding the 7. I also do like how the boys, especially Butcher, they're looking for Homelander killing weapon. They go to Mallory because they learned that Mallory worked with Vought, and they're like, what's up with this? What happened? Oh, you were specifically at the same army base that Soldier Boy was at. What happened? And she tells the story about how the Soups aren't soldiers. She's running the camp. They just bring in a bunch of Soups, and they're just like flying everywhere, not caring at all. Not realizing that there's like enemies that could just like start shooting them, and they're so reckless. There's like this guy with like wings, and he's flying. Oh, I want to fly. Oh, stop flying, she says. That guy stops flying, and then he starts flying again. And I'm like, why would you just do that? You're in war zone. You don't know where you're at, okay? Why you gotta be like this? But so pretty much all the Soups were big irresponsible in combat, and Soldier Boy seemed to be the most responsible, but you know, he was still kind of pompous the way that he acted. Very pompous, exaggerated, big inflated ego is what I describe him. And guess what? Because of that flying beetle soup guy, a bunch of people just start shooting at them. They have to protect the base, and they go pew 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 pew. And this is their time to gang up on Soldier Boy. And the Soldier Boy gets taketh away, and that's also how Black Noir damaged his face. It was all gross, and I saw that, and I was like, man, I feel really bad for him. Is he like physically unable of talking, like the ability to talk, because the part of his brain that made it so you could talk is just like ripped off or something? Like, this also makes me appreciate Black Noir's character a lot. There's just so much complexity. I see this in front of me, and I'm like, oh man, I want to see how you got here. Like, what led, the steps that led you up to this point, and also how you dealt with this. Like, how long did it take you to heal? After Mallory tells this story about how she was where Soldier Boy was at, right? How she had any participation to do with this. She's also talking about this soup killer weapon that was discovered in Russia, you know? They had to take Soldier Boy to do some experiments so he can make that weapon. And I do like this, right? Billy Butcher's like, why didn't you tell us about this before? And I'm like, I don't think it would have come up naturally. Like, even she says it's complicated, it's complex. I'm like, how would you have a conversation naturally? They'd be like, oh yeah, by the way, I have a soup killer in Russia. We're talking about different things, like different matters are at hand. So I completely understand Mallory and why she didn't say this before. But also, what's fun, Frenchie is very hesitant to go back to Russia. And he initially turned little Nina down. Like his previous, as she would describe it, master, and he's a puppy, is how she describes it. It's the best way I could describe it. So he's like kind of hesitant, but I love Butcher. He's like, we're going to Russia, we're going there. And I'm like, I love it. You're just like totally disregarding Frenchie's uncomfortableness in order to execute this plan to kill Homelander, because your priorities are to prevent millions and millions and millions of people from dying over the personal feelings of someone. So this is a good episode. I enjoyed this episode. It made me ecstatic for the next episode. It was a good one. I feel like I've said what I said about this episode during saying it. I am excited to see how Starlight handles Homelander, and Vought, how they handle Homelander. Oh God, I'm just so intrigued as to how they're going to deal with Homelander. They got a sticky situation right here. They got a big ego man, big force, big power, and also big instability. So this is big trouble. So I gotta give this episode. This episode is a solid, 7.5 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 4, Glorious 5-Year Plan. It is directed by Julian Holmes, written by Meredith Glynn, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following the boys, specifically Butcher arranges Russia plans. Nina is like, yo, you want to do an assassination job? I'll hook you up to go to Russia. And so they got to do that. And while they're in Russia, they go investigate this lab. In this lab, first of all, I like a nice little character moment here. We have Billy Butcher is doing the Temp V. Huey catches him doing the Temp V, is like, can I have some? Butcher's like, no. And then we have Huey does it anyway, but sneaks in and injects some into himself. I really like this. Huey's just wants to protect Starlight. That's his main motivation. I feel like he also feels like he needs to be some sort of protector, which I get. because he's a dude, and that's like dude genes, is to be a protector of some kind. So, he's really feeling it. He's like, I gotta do whatever I can, and so he gains the temp V powers against Billy Butcher's wishes. But it helps out when there's a guard about to do an assassination attempt of Mother's Milk, and he like teleports and like punches his stomach. I thought that was really cool. Alright, so then we have, what is this? It's an alive person in this weird bunker kind of thing. Oh no, it's Soldier Boy. What's this? He has some sort of energy blast that just comes from the center of his stomach. Oh, yikes. Uh-oh, and that gets hit against Komiko because Frenchie was about to get blasted, but Komiko got the front of the blast, and that took away her powers, and also she's injured. And I'm like, wow, I'm interested to see how Komiko evolves as a person, because she's never had her powers taken away from her. And I know she's in some sort of slump. I'm really excited for more character development on that front. But also, obviously, the Russians experimented on Soldier Boy. I imagine that Soldier Boy would have a terrible look on people after this. I'm not sure where his priorities lie, honestly. It's kind of a sketchy, scary situation to be in and to have loose on the world. Oh, yikes. So we got a very violent, physically violent thing here. Let's go switch over to some political things happening, like that head popper lady, Newman. Yeah, she was like, oh, Stan Edgar is guilty of corruption, and he's doing corrupt things. Bada bing, bada boom. And I'm like, wow, okay. You just really betrayed him like that. I guess it's in the game of politics, I guess, for ultimate power. She's like, you get it. You get why I had to do this, right? And of course, her deal, the way that she was able to betray Stan Edgar, is she got some compound V in like an exchange, and she injects that compound V into her daughter, and the daughter's like 12 years old, so she's feeling all of that very traumatic very traumatic experience. I can see the bones moving. I'm also thinking, I understand why everyone's making these moves. They're all making moves for an emotional desire to protect someone they love. And as a result, it'll screw over other people like Stan Edgar, But I like Stan Edgar's perspective on this. He's like, well, I raised her to be like this, so I get it. She used those moves on me. I get it now. Of course, Homelander's behind this. Homelander wanted Stan Edgar gone, so he's like, here you go, here's a compound V. Also, speaking of freaking Homelander, Starlight's afraid of Homelander. She's like, hey, Maeve, can you, please help me do a coup against him? She's like, yeah. And then also, that too nice of a guy, Alex, the ex is like, oh yeah, I'll do it. Yeah, I'll do it as well. And then he goes, in the elevator, goes down, sees A-Train and Homelander having a time. Homelander's like, you suck, terrible, terrible. You can't even run. Haha, that sucks. Why even here? And then Alex is like meeting him in the elevator while he walks in. Hey, how about, do you ever feel so powerless? He's like, yeah. And then Alex be like, do you want that to change? And it's like, oh, he told A-Train. And A-Train's a snake, okay? He only cares about himself. He only cares about wanting to run. And as a result, he'll do anything to get to that. And he sees that Homelander is the way to get back to running and to staying on the 7 So he's like, oh, there's a coup going on. I'm going to report that to Homelander. And then Homelander is like, oh, who's that guy who told you? Oh, you and Starlight are having a coup? Okay. And then frickin' Homelander presents a gift to Starlight, calls her over. Hey, come here. Here's a gift. And it's Alex's dead body. And he's like, well, you do whatever I say or you're next. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is a sticky situation. Oh yikes. Starlight, I know you tried your best trying to warn him and everything, but like, you can't control everyone. Everyone makes their own decisions. They do what they want. I get it. That guy had it coming for him. He was way too nice. He would have not lasted at all. You ever hear that phrase, the good die young, or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain? You know, that kind of phrase. That's what's happening here. Alex is too good for this world. He had to be murdered by Homelander, who is the most terrible person. But he has all the power because of how terrible he is. So this is a fun episode. I like how it's in the middle of the season. The end is like, oh, there's so much tension. Just keeps on building. Oh my goodness. I'm just really excited to see Homelander's public snapping point. I feel like the speech from last time is kind of a snapping point where he finally snaps, but like that's kind of like subdued. He didn't like actually kill somebody. So he's just expressing his opinion and people might share that opinion and so be on Homelander's side. So it's a plus for him, which is nice. But I'm excited to see Homelander do something really bad that he can't come back from. So I gotta give this episode, it just makes me really excited for the next few episodes. This is a solid like 7.4 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3 Episode 5, The Last Time to Look on This World of Lies. It is directed by Nelson Craig, written by Ellie Monahan, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following Kumiko and Frenchie. Kumiko's in the hospital, and when she wakes up and realizes that she does not have any powers of any kind, she's really happy. I like Frenchie's reaction to this because he is surprised. Why? 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 Don't you want powers? I want powers. I feel like the way that Frenchie is handling the situation is he wants powers for himself. And so when he sees that Kumiko has lost powers, he feels bad. He's like, oh man, I should have been the one that got blasted by a laser ray. But Kumiko has a different perspective. She's lived with all of powers all of her life, and now she has no powers. She gets to understand what it's like to be human just like Frenchie. It puts her on an even playing field. And I'm a big fan of this because it's going to assist with her character development. I also like how in this season, there's just overall tones of her overcoming her past, accepting who she is, realizing that her problems aren't the compound V, but is herself. Like, at this point, she's realizing she does not have any compound V's, so she's like, oh my goodness, my problems are gone, right? That's what I think. That's my prediction. So I'm excited for Kumiko to live as a human. You know, she's never done it before. I like how they have a kiss-who. It's a little bit awkward. And it's a little bit awkward to the point where she's like, I didn't expect that. Frenchie, please leave. And then Frenchie leaves, and Frenchie gets napped. Yoinked. I'm like, why? Don't you just have a deal with Billy Butcher? Why are you yoinking him? Oh my goodness. I'm just looking at Kumiko, being sad, trying to find that perfect text message. And I do that too, honestly. And I'm like rewriting messages. What's the best way to phrase this? No, not like that, not like that, not like that. And she's just waiting for Frenchie, and I'm like, he's not gonna come back. You're just gonna be waiting there forever. I feel really bad for you. As Kumiko loses powers, we have Starlight and Huey talking about the Temp V. More specifically, Huey's like, oh, by the way, I did some Temp V. She's like, what? Understandably so. If someone was like, oh yeah, I'm doing this drug that like is not really tested at all, but it gives me powers, I wouldn't want them to go through that drug. I'd be like, why are you using this? Like, it's untested. That's honestly the thing that I have the most problem with. It's the untested part. It could like kill you in maybe a dose or two, and you don't even know that. It's not regulated. It's not at all safety tested. But here we have Huey. He's like, I want to do the Temp V because it'll make it so I can protect you. And I get it. Starlight's like, I don't need protection. And this is really getting the Huey because he's, of course, wanting to protect Starlight. I feel like there might be hints of like emasculation going on. Like he feels emasculated whenever he doesn't have the powers and he's unable to save Starlight. I get it. I feel bad for him. I think I just feel bad for everyone in this episode. Speaking of Compound V, Butcher is like, I want more Compound V. Maeve is like, I'm gonna give you some more Compound V. And then we got some pretty bad news, and it's time to have a drink. We got Homelander on our tails. Have a toast to not dying today. We're all drunk and we're all looking at each other. Ooh, you look nice and pretty. Oh, you look handsome. Oh, let's get a little touchy, and they have sex. Yeah, Billy Butcher and Maeve have pretty intense physical, up against a lot of walls, sexual intercourse. And I'm like, okay, this is cool. I was not expecting this. Also, what I was not expecting is afterward, Maeve walks into the office. Homelander is like, I smell Billy Butcher on you? And then you go, crack. Like, immediately he knows that Maeve is a big betrayer. Bam! Just that quick cut. I'm like, what happened to her? And it's not addressed at all for the rest of the episode. We got Ashley. She's now the CEO, and oh god, I feel so bad for her. She's lived her entire life in service of Vought, and now she's making decisions. And who does she have? She has Homelander, who is just using fear to get whatever he wants. Not a fun situation, not a fun workplace environment. I wouldn't want to work there. Also, we have A-Train. He's trying to get more and more word about this guy. Blue Hawk is a problem. And I like how A-Train doesn't really take this seriously. He's not big serious on this. So much so, let's just take him to like a public place so we can have Blue Hawk talk to the community about how he feels so bad about curb stomping people's heads in the black community, specifically black people. He's racist. He's a racist guy. And so he goes down there and it doesn't go well. Like, people are asking questions. You got these people, they're asking questions like, why are you doing more patrols on our neighborhoods versus like other, like white people, other people, the other ones, all the other races? Why just us? And he answers so aggressively. I'm like, you don't have any PR training. He's like, because you do all the crimes. And he just goes in, he's like angry, and he starts arguing with everyone. I'm like, no, this is not how you handle the situation. Oh no. And a fight breaks out. I'm like, no, people are getting injured, dude. And A-Train doesn't really care at the level that these other people who are getting injured, and also cared enough to hear what Blue Hawk had to say. A-Train doesn't care as much, but I feel like he is starting to care a little bit because he's seeing firsthand destruction and insanity that Blue Hawk is doing. And I don't like Blue Hawk at all, man. He's too aggressive. Way too aggressive. And hateful. Way too hateful. It's not until A-Train is personally affected by Blue Hawk when he gets really, really, really upset. And he's like, I'm gonna do whatever I can to get revenge. We also learn about Soldier Boy. He's out and about on the loose, and he's going to Crimson Countess. And I'm like, who is this chick? She's big, washed up energies. She gives me washed up energy vibes. You know, she works at a Votland. You can look at Crimson Countess. Crimson Accountant. You can make a lot of different names. Crimson Accountant. Go see her for all your accounting needs. Soldier Boy finds her. And she's all tied up and wrapped up. Hey, yeah, okay. Hey, please, I know what happened. I know how much you hate me. Please don't murder me. Please don't murder me. You're getting murdered, lady. There's no way you can talk yourself out of that one. She doesn't really strike me as a very significant person, just to me, but definitely to Soldier Boy, to the point where he felt he needed to kill her. Oh boy, she should have made herself less public. But I know she's just like, I didn't know you're alive, so I could just do whatever I wanted, I guess. I wonder why Soldier Boy hates her. That's what I'm thinking. I don't know Soldier Boy like that, but he doesn't really seem the type of person to just do a murder just for no reason. Since Soldier Boy is a Homelander killing machine, I do like Butcher is like, well, we provided you a nice little tasty snack over here, all tied up. Crimson Countess over here. Do you want to be on our team? You know, you got a lot of people to kill. Let's add one more guy. Homelander. Kill Homelander for us, and we'll help you out. And I like Starlight is like, no, don't help him. But Huey's like, I got it, okay? I have to protect you. And I like it. There's so much tension. There's tension between Starlight and Huey growing. Like, their relationship is in a rough patch right now. And we also got the strengthening relationship between Huey and Butcher, as Huey knows more and more of what has to be done in order to achieve a specific goal. So I like that a lot. This is a good episode. 3 more episodes. Oh boy. How am I so excited. I'm so big excitement over here. So excited. I gotta give this episode, this is a 7.5 out of 10. I'm on Saturday and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 6, Herogasm. It is directed by Nelson Cragg, written by Jessica Chow. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following the backlash of Soldier Boy being out, and also he just killed Crimson Countess, and so we have the Deep and Homelander are dealing with the situation. I'm thinking Soldier Boy's coming for Homelander, man. But also, Soldier Boy's kind of a rogue. He's just doing the boys a favor. He's not necessarily on their side per se, but you know, they're helping him out. So it could be anything. Anything could happen between Soldier Boy and Homelander. So I'm really excited for that. But also, Black Noir. This is pretty intense what he does here. He's in the elevator. There's like some chick there, just some employee. And he just stabs his arm, cuts a little incision, takes his tracker out, and then gives it to the chick. Like, as a present, just walks away. I'm like, what? This is trauma-inducing. Why would you just do this to someone? But I get it. He's really desensitized to it, so he's like, oh, well, yeah, let me just do this real quick in front of this chick. It's totally normal to cut your tracker out of your arm. No, it's not, Black Noir. Oh my goodness. I love the tension with the little Nina character being introduced, and she's kidnaps Frenchie, she kidnaps Kumiko, and then presents Frenchie with a choice. Hey,
We got Kumiko over here, we got your ex-girlfriend over here. You're gonna have to choose one, pick one, please. Shoot one, the other one dies, and the other one lives. And I'm like, I think that Frenchie would choose, honestly, Kumiko, because they're the one that's hanging out the most, and they have the most in common chemistry currently. Oh wow, your ex, you might have had a few sex things happen in the past. Cool. What do you have in common now? Nothing. I would think Frenchie would just go boom on his ex. But no, before any decision, and just so much beating, punch, kick, pow, pow, pow. And I just see Frenchie is like, no, I can't do anything to stop it. I'm tied up. Kumiko gets her way out. She's able to cut the rope, and then she does the thing that she does, and it goes, it just starts killing everyone. I'm like, this is awesome. Oh, she still doesn't have her compound V? Oh, it's just as her being as a human? Oh, so she's just trained as a human fighting machine. She's gonna have to deal with the fact that she decided to do the murders and the deaths and all the things that happened with two people that she did violent acts against. She's gonna have to deal with that actually it wasn't the Compound V's fault, but it's actually her fault. The Compound V was just a vehicle for those actions to be more effective. So I'm really excited to see how Kumiko deals with that. Also, boom, head popper. She's like, I'm gonna pop some of your blood vessels, Starlight. Hello. Hey, you don't want to be on my bad side. You want to collab? And I'm like, why is she doing this? Why? I don't really quite understand. Why does she want to go against Vought so hard? Oh man, I'm thinking that she's probably working an angle, not necessarily to Starlight's benefit, but she is working an angle, but it's to her own benefit, not necessarily against Vought. That's just my prediction. But I do like how strong Annie is as a character. She's like, no, I will not be on your side. Huey told me who you are. Nope. And I like that. That's a good, strong character moment from Annie. She did the good job. Also, it's fun. Now we got Soldier Boy's in the mix. And Soldier Boy's trying to find his old teammates that's made it so that he was given up to the Russians, aka betrayed him. Oh, Crimson Countess betrayed him. Okay, that makes sense. Also, I'm just so excited to see how Huey and Billy Butcher deals with Soldier Boy. Okay, so how are we going to get into Hero Gasms? There's some people there that Soldier Boy hates, like those twins. How are you gonna get in there? Well, luckily Huey has a nice magical trick, the Temp V, where he can just teleport and then he's just instantly naked. So that's what he does. And he gets there to try to tell the twins, hey, yo, can you like leave? And they're like, no, this is our house. And they're like bickering. And then we had Soldier Boy comes and it's like, oh, hello, I'm all clothing. I have clothing on. No one else here has clothing on. And I'm not interested in any sexual acts. I'm here for murder and vengeance. Pow, pow, pow. And he does that. I'm like, wow, that is crazy, Soldier Boy. Also, I should mention, it's not a simple pow, pow, pow. What it is, though, is that Soldier Boy is listening to some Russian music, and that triggers his weapon, and he basically blows up the entire place. But before that, Huey grabs Annie, teleports her outside, and is like, hello, I've saved you. I like their argument because it's such a deep and raw one, and it makes me really understand Huey as a person, because he's like, I just want to protect you, Annie. Why won't you let me protect you? And she's like, I don't need your protection. And I'm like, you clearly do. That house exploded back there. What were you going to do? Encapsulate some of the energy? And then what are you going to do with that energy? Give me a reasonable take on what you would have done. So thank goodness Huey has some powers here in this situation. And I like how they're just bickering naked until, boom goes explosion. I love this detail. We have the deep. The deep has an octopus, right? And I really like this reveal. It's like, oh man, the deep is getting some crazy head right now, right? And a nice little sneak in. Ooh, what's going on? Oh, it's an octopus. Wow, that's so weird, but also totally makes sense because it's the deep. It's the deep, man. I just liked him just like running out with the octopus. Like, come on, man. It's all good. I'm consoling you. Ooh, hey, everything's gonna be all right. Like, I really liked that. That was a great detail. Also, Homelander is there. Soldier Boy, Billy Butcher, and we got Huey's there. And they're trying to pin him down. And they're trying to get him. Hey, get him, get him, get him. Come on, we almost got him. We're like holding him down. And it takes like a little bit of time for Billy Butcher's powers to go on. Enough time for Homelander to go fly. And I'm like, no, you almost got him, man. This was your only chance. Oh, no. Now Homelander's gonna know there's a threat against him and he didn't kill him. I feel so bad. You know what I love? Oh boy, A-Train is actually angry at Blue Hawk. This is total non sequitur. A-Train's looking at Blue Hawk just in there. He's just there. And he's like, I'm so pissed, okay? My brother has been wheelchaired because of you. I didn't care about the other people, but you personally affected me. You know what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna grab you. I'm gonna run, and he runs until he gets the worst road rash possible, which is death. So Blue Hawk's dead, and then we have A-Train is just like, oh no, my heart, oh I can't take it, but it was totally worth it. I'm like, this is totally worth it, A-Train. I'm sorry that you're having heart complications, but totally worth it. And then we got Annie. She's like, I'm sick of this. I'm gonna go on a live stream, and I'm like, what? He's gonna do this? And Annie's just like, I'm here to expose the truth, everything with the truth, all of the truth, everything about VOD is a lie. You're being lied to. And I was watching this and like, what? She's doing this? She's really doing this. Of course she is. Even with potential that Homelander could just like kill everyone, she's still doing this. How incredibly brave. I feel like she has a lot of hope for the people out there to be like revolting against Homelander. He has lasers, but also there is Soldier Boy. There is Soldier Boy. You can just remove his powers. He's nothing without the suit, as you might say. So I really like this episode a lot because there's just so much going on. And the view, you get them titties, you get some ass, you get some back, legs, thighs, you get all that good juiciness, goodness. I really like this episode a lot. There's just so much going on in this episode. We got drugs, we got sex, we got violence, the trifecta of media, as I like to say. Oh man, this is such a good episode. It also builds up perfect suspense for the next 2 episodes, which are to come. I'm really excited to see what's gonna happen. What do you think of this episode? Let me know. I gotta give this episode a solid 7.6 out of 10. I'm inside and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 7. Here Comes a Candle to Light You to Bed. It is directed by Sarah Boyd, written by Paul Graylong, and if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts, and we're following the very deep psyche of Black Noir. He goes to this abandoned cutesy pizzeria, mamma mia, pizzeria, ooh. He goes there, and there's like a bunch of cartoon critters, whatever, they're on the wall. And using his imagination, he makes them appear as if they're real. So they're real to Black Noir. And I really like how in this episode, specifically with these scenes, they're edited to show that Black Noir is fully immersed with talking to these cartoon animals. But from just an outsider perspective, he's just sitting in a room alone. Nothing's happening. He's just sitting in the darkness. So with his cartoon animal friends, they're going over some deep traumatic stuff. Oh, Soldier Boy's coming around. Oh, wow, you thought you got rid of Soldier Boy a long time ago. What is it exactly that he did to you. We're gonna have to go back and look upon those memories. It'll be good for you, says those cartoon critters. And I'm like, they're right. They're right. You probably suppressed these memories for as long as possible, ever since the soldier boy's just gone. Doom, ba boom, ba bing, bada boom. You don't have to think about it anymore. But he's here, and he might be coming for you. And I feel like Black Noir is really scared. Not even I feel it. Not only do I feel it, but the critters are talking to me about it. They're like, we know you're scared, bud. We're with you all the time. We're here to help you out. And I'm just thinking, is it the brain damage that's causing these visual hallucinations? Like a big chunk of his brain just took it. So maybe that part was what caused him to see all those cartoon animals be alive. That's my curiosity. But within the actual story, wanna know what happens? Soldier Boy sucks. He's bossing people around. He was the one that only had to be the one, you know, I'm just going to be the one movie star. And Black Noir is like, but I want to be a movie star, dude. Just come on, let me be a movie star. And Soldier Boy beat him up for it. And he was like, no, you're not going to be a movie star because I'm going to make you ugly. Pow, 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 pow. And he's like, beats him up. And it seems like he also had a strong arm over the entire team. Everyone's afraid of him. Everyone's afraid to stand up to him. So when a time came to when we have Mallory is overlooking that army base, we have all the soups coming and we have the exchange with Black Noir and Stan Edgar, it was because Stan Edgar was telling him about this superhero, this new superhero that's gonna fly, is gonna totally replace Soldier Boy. And so they have to do these few things. And it was a coordinated attack against Soldier Boy. And I'm thinking, on one hand, Soldier Boy is really mean, beats up people who challenges him, and is physically threatening and also physically intimidating the rest of the team. And so I'm thinking, I'm not sure if that's healthy necessarily. And it seems like upper management also has problems with him, to the point where we have Stan Edgar is telling Black Noir, hey, don't you know that there is this new superhero coming out to replace him because he sucks so much? And so I'm thinking, oh, everyone hated Soldier Boy, so they all took an opportunity to gang up on him, not warn him at all, just big old ganging up. And they got Soldier Boy, and it was very successful. On the other hand, though, it is really dirty to do that. It's so dirty to just gang up on someone like that without giving them any warning of whatsoever. I feel a little conflicted here because from their accounts, from specifically Black Noir's memory, he seems like a terrible person that I wouldn't want to hang out with. But on the other hand, they did gang up on him without giving him a fair fight. And that might have been the only way they got rid of Soldier Boy. So I've got a lot of conflicted feelings about the situation. And I hope that Black Noir stands up to Soldier Boy. Honestly, A-Train is dealing with his consequences. He's got a new heart. It's Blue Hawk's heart. And what's fun is he goes to his brother, is like, hey, brother who can't walk, who's been personally affected by Blue Hawk, I got a new heart from Blue Hawk, and now it can run. And it's just really insensitive. You haven't been at all supportive to the family. You haven't been there. You've only been interested in your own interest, A-Train, and now you're like, oh, sympathy points. I killed the guy that you hated. You should have killed him earlier, dude, or else he would have had his legs. And honestly, jeez, so tone deaf. I am on the brother's side. He's like, get out. I don't want you in my life ever again. And I'm like, that's a little harsh. Maybe he'll change his mind later, but you have to respect his wishes now, A-Train, and you have to work on developing yourself as a person and feeling actual guilt over the people you did not help. Komiko's like, oh man, I was not able to protect Frenchie at all. I want that compound V back. And I really like this discussion. Frenchie's like, I thought you didn't like the compound V. And she's like, well, it's because I made it as an excuse to blame all my bad habits. Kimiko has changed as a person. She wants to be responsible for her own actions and is accepting responsibility for her previous actions and is just generally wanting to be a better partner for Kimiko. I really like her character progression throughout the series. When she was first introduced, she was basically like a wild animal as a human, but she's like a fully fleshed out person who's now accepting her actions, and I love it. I love it so much. Also, what's not to love? We got Billy Butcher, we got Huey, and we got Soldier Boy, and we also got the mind guy. Dreamweaver? I don't remember his name. He only appeared in this like one episode. He was talked about like an episode ago, and then he appeared in this one episode. They needed his help, and wow, this guy got Billy Butcher in his own trapped mind, and also we need this guy to go into another person's mind, and he does do that, and then Huey convinces him to unlock Billy Butcher from this endless nightmare state, and then as soon as that happens, Soldier Boy just kills him. Pow! Wow. Not really much for that character. Now we got Annie, and she's like, all right, I'll grab some compound V. I'll also roll around a little bit. Oh, I found some notes about temp V. Oh, that was crazy. It kills you within 3 to 5 doses. It makes your brain into cheese. It gives you lesions. That's no good. And I'm like, that is no good. They keep using it. Oh no, I wonder how many holes are in their brain. Oh man, I really like this transition shot from like Annie discovering that it can murder you to Huey dealing with the liquid in his ear, and that's his brain melting. He's like, what? Why does this keep coming out? I wonder why. And I'm like, no, it's killing you. Annie confronts Billy Butcher. Billy Butcher is like, okay. And then when the opportunity comes to tell Huey, he's like, oh, about that temp V. Let's get more of it. I'm like, no, why? Why would you do this? Oh, let's get more of them. I'm like, stop it. Stop it. You're a bad influence. You're a bad influence, Billy Butcher. I get it why you're doing it, because you gotta do what you gotta do, but still, don't let Huey in this. At least let him know, please. At least let him know. But also, my favorite part of this episode, and this is like a slam dunk. We have Annie and Homelander in Vought. We got Annie's just standing there. Homelander's like, what are you doing? Why are you in here? Don't you know about the video? That video, you should take that down, or I'm threatening your life right here, right now. And it says some really incriminating stuff. And Annie's like, oh, okay, tell that to my 180 million live followers. I'm like, oh, this is so cool. Look, I'm no condoning of hot miking. This is a cool instance. This is awesome. Homelander needs to be taken down. Oh boy, I support this. Mainly because it's Homelander and it's Annie versus Homelander. That's the only reason why I support this type of behavior in this specific instance. Okay? It was like a slam dunk, and I was like, yeah, let's go. I'm really excited for this season finale. Can you tell how much I'm excited? I'm so excited. Oh my goodness, what do you think of this episode? Also, I should mention, Homelander gets a call from Soldier Boy. Soldier Boy be like, yo, I'm the father. And Homelander's like, oh, I got a father. Oh my goodness. Oh, we got 3 generations. And I'm like, I don't think he's actually your father. Not necessarily. Oh boy, this is such a good episode. I'm so excited. Oh, the acting's so good. The setup and the tension building is so good. Just, oh man, I don't know how to describe this. The goodness of this episode in words. It's just so good, you have to see it. So I'm gonna give this a 7.9 out of 10. I'm Salad, and I saw The Boys Season 3, Episode 8. The Instant White Hot Wild. It is directed by Sarah Boyd, written by Logan Ritchie and David Reed. And if you haven't seen this episode, I will spoil it for you. This episode starts and we're following Homelander. Homelander has found Ryan, and what's fun about this, Ryan's going through some things that only maybe a dad could deal with, you know? His mother's dead. So sad. So basically his only living parent is now Homelander. And Homelander's here to teach him a few things that he never learned growing up. And so he's here to be like, here, I have some wisdom for you, you know? And they get a little bit of a closeness, a fondness to each other. And I'm like, all right, I really hope Ryan stays good. He's being influenced by Homelander. Maybe Ryan can sift through his advice and determine what's good or not. I really hope that he can do that. I'm not sure if he has the capacity to do so. He's pretty young, not gonna lie. I'm also worried about Butcher, because Butcher's like, oh, well, I've taken the compound V, the temporary V, and I've injected it into my veins, and before Huey can take it himself, bam, knock him out, bam, just like leave him there. I'm like, I guess that's a way to protect them from the temp V. That's cool, I guess. It's kind of a terrible thing to do. You should have been like, hey, Huey got some information from Annie. She said that if you take compound V, the temp V, what it's called, you're going to die within 3 to 5 uses of it. It makes your brains and lesions. Nope, punch. Leave them there. Much simpler than talking. And oh man, I really like Billy Butcher. This is totally a Billy Butcher move. Also, speaking of Billy Butcher doesn't really have the hottest relationship with Ryan. And so Ryan is much more inclined to be on Homelander's side. And you know, it's kind of sad to seeing Homelander have control over Ryan like that, and also Ryan deciding to be against Billy Butcher. They have so many fond memories, but it's because Billy Butcher is like, I hate you and I don't ever want to speak to you again. This is why we have Homelander is in possession of your lover's son, okay? And Homelander is going to make him even terribler, and he's much more powerful than Homelander. So this is a dangerous position you put yourself in, Billy Butcher. We got Homelander is confronting Black Noir, and he's like, hey, did you know that Soldier Boy is my father? And he can't really lie, because Homelander can tell that he is lying via his heartbeat going bow, faster than his normal bow, bow, bow heartbeat, you know? And he kills Noir because he did know. Didn't know that Soldier Boy was, one, his father, but also knew that Homelander was replacing Soldier Boy. But Homelander doesn't necessarily know that, really. And I'm like, no, we just learned about this complex character, Black Noir, and here we have it. He's just dying, just like the light behind me. You know, you gotta rage against the dying of the light. Ha ha ha. Bow, bow, bow. Just like me in this movie review. As this review gets darker, so will the light. And oh my goodness. Oh man, it just gets so much darker. Maeve escapes, so that's nice. But she's like, yeah, it was Homelander. It was Homelander. And everyone's like, yeah, we're trying to get him. Can you please help us? And she's like, yeah, sure, I'll help you. Also, the way that she escapes is so awesome. They put her in like this transportation truck, right? Rookie mistake. Put her with like a bunch of soldiers, just regular old human soldiers. And what do you expect? Her to just sit there, let you transport her to another place? No, she's gonna beat them all up and escape. And so Homelander hears about this, and she's going like, pow, 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 and Homelander's just like, no, of course she escaped. Why didn't I think about that? Now she's out. Oh man, Homelander, his energy, his intensity is off the charts. It's like, it just feels like every time I look at Homelander, his face just goes like, but also his smile is like, yeah, I'm really enjoying this. He's like a really big smile talker, and the smile is supposed to hide his intensity, his hatred for humanity. Okay, he really hates humans and thinks that He actually thinks he's better than humans. And I'm like, bring him down. Oh, I need the boys to bring him down. Soldier Boy and Billy Butcher are like, okay, we're gonna go fight Homelander. Soldier Boy is our ticket. Also, I should mention, Soldier Boy took away Maeve's powers in a fight, and very stunning and brave of her, as the social medias in the series would say, #stunning and brave. I just love that. But also, we have Soldier Boy, and also we got Billy Butcher. They're like, oh yeah, just go in this room. Everyone else who isn't us two, bap, bow, lock, safe. Whew. And I'm like, oh, amazing. So they're gonna go and try to fight Homelander alone. What happened last time? You needed at least 3 people, and that wasn't working at all? Jeez, dude. Also, Annie is just able to escape. And she's able to escape, and she's able to follow their tail and find them in the middle of a confrontation with Homelander. And guess what? Ryan's there, and now we got the big old battle confrontation thing that's happening. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this is the final match of the 3rd season. I'm so excited for season 4. What's going to happen in this one? What's going to happen? Is Ryan going to stay with Homelander? Billy Butcher, Annie, Soldier Boy, they do be fighting Homelander. But when they punch Homelander, Ryan steps in and is like, I'ma be a protector. And then Soldier Boy is like, I'm gonna punch you, kid, pow. And I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess it would be the safe thing to do. I mean, he is Homelander's kid. But also, Billy Butcher has an attachment, so he starts fighting Soldier Boy. And then they all start fighting Soldier Boy. And that pretty much leaves Homelander a good chance to just kind of break the fight group off more individually. And I'm just like, why'd you do this? Infighting is going to make the enemy more powerful. As shown in this episode, Homelander has Ryan. And not to mention, Ryan wants to be with Homelander and gives that creepy smile at the end. He's like, ooh, yeah, I'm like evil. And I'm like, no, don't be evil, Ryan. Ugh! Also, what's evil? Billy Butcher, because of how many times he's used the Temp V, is now dying. And I'm like, no, Billy Butcher. So you're going to be dying throughout the rest of the next season? I have a prediction that he might either just die with his dignity and his morals and values upholded, which is to not use the compound V, but it's his life. I'm thinking he might take it, but my percentage chance on that is probably like 30%. That's just my prediction. What do you predict for season 4? What do you think of season 3 of The Boys? I thought this was awesome. I want to see what Ryan does. Oh my goodness, Ryan is on Homelander's side. No! I really like this episode. It takes all the tension from all the seasons before it, especially this season, and it takes it and it takes it, it takes it, it takes it, and it makes it really, really big tension. So when you get to the big old fight at the end, it's like bam, 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 bam. It releases all of that tension. Poo, 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 poo. And then we get some nice resolution to the tension, and then we got some more problems that have occurred now. I want to see what Ryan does, I want to see what Billy Butcher does, and I want to see what the rest of the boys does. I'm really excited for this season of 4. This season 4. I really like season 3. Let me know if you think of season 3. What are your predictions for season 4? I gotta give this episode, it's a solid 7.8 out of 10. If you like this review, watch another one. The platform really likes that. If you want to fast track a movie review, you can do that for $20 dinos at patreon.com/ASEPresents. And if you like to help support the daily grindiness of all them daily movie reviews, go to this link tree. By the way, you can help support the daily grind of all them daily movie reviews. So you can go here. And until next time on Mint Salad Saw, I'll see you later. My salad croutons and bacon bits.